Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're playing detective to unlock a pretty wild mystery: how a simple stimulus out there in the world suddenly turns into this inexplicable urge to swipe your credit card. I mean, we make countless choices every single day, right? From the totally mundane to the absolutely monumental. But the mechanics behind those choices, those invisible gears turning in our heads, they're mostly hidden from us. Well, not today. We're bringing them right into the light.
So think about it for a second. What is actually happening in your brain during that split second before you decide to buy something? How do we get from suddenly realizing, hey, I need this, to actually handing over our hard-earned cash? It feels instantaneous to us, kind of like magic, honestly. But behind the scenes, there's this fascinating, highly structured process going on. It's literally a sequence of psychological dominoes falling in perfect order.
And this comparison perfectly highlights our core mystery. Why does buying a bottle of water take mere seconds, but buying a house, that takes months of agonizing comparison? I mean, for the water, it's grab and go. You're thirsty, you see it, you buy it. Boom, done. But a house, you are sweating over interest rates, school districts, long-term value. You might literally spend weeks just looking at doorknobs. Every purchase is different, and understanding that massive spectrum of decision-making, that's exactly what marketers spend billions of dollars trying to decode.
To solve this mystery, researchers rely on something called a consumer behavior model. You can think of it as a master key, a key to hacking the buyer's brain and forecasting demand. Now, look, are these models going to predict every single person's behavior with 100% accuracy? No way. We're human. We're prone to random impulse buys at the checkout counter. We've all been there. But they act as a really solid framework. They take incredibly complex behaviors and simplify them so we can understand the exact sequence of thoughts, feelings, and actions that happen right before a purchase.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We've talked about the mystery of buying, so next we're going to hit the stimulus response model, then walk through the 5-stage decision process, take a look at the Howard Sheath model, and wrap it all up with 3 types of behavior. Let's get right into it. We're kicking off our detective work with one of the simplest yet most widely used tools in a marketer's arsenal: the stimulus response model. What's super fascinating here is how marketers, and really just the environment itself, are constantly feeding us external inputs. They're practically begging for our attention. You've got marketing stimuli, which are the classic 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. Companies totally control these. They pick the packaging color, the discount rate, where the billboard goes. But then you have environmental stimuli. These are completely outside their control. We're talking about a booming or crashing economy, massive tech shifts, evolving cultural trends. And honestly, all of these inputs are bombarding us from the second we wake up to the minute we go to sleep. And all of those inputs, they go straight into what we call the black box. This is the consumer's unseen mind. It's this hidden psychological space where marketers can't directly look. They can't see how your past experiences are colliding with your current needs. Inside this black box, your brain is just rapidly processing inputs. If it's that bottle of water, your physical thirst is bumping into a subconscious memory of a refreshing commercial you saw yesterday. If it's a house, your need for space is violently colliding with, say, underlying anxiety about the economy. Your unique personality, your motivations, your learned attitudes, they're all mixing together in real time. So the really crucial point here is that after all that hidden processing in the black box, you produce an output, the actual tangible purchase decision. And this response isn't just a simple yes or no. It's actually a whole cascade of choices. Which specific product and brand are you going with? Where exactly are you buying it, in-store or online? When will you buy it? And exactly how much are you willing to spend? The black box basically takes the absolute chaos of all those stimuli and organizes it into a highly specific set of observable actions. All right, moving along, let's see how this all builds into an actual chronological timeline of a single purchase. Because buying, as it turns out, is a process, not just some isolated, spontaneous event. Buying is actually a very specific 5-stage journey. First up is need recognition. You realize there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Maybe you're parched, or maybe your family just outgrew your apartment. Then you move into information search. You're gathering data from friends, Googling, checking listings. Next is evaluation of alternatives. This is where you're weighing the price and quality of different options against each other. Fourth is the actual purchase decision, handing over the cash. And finally, post-purchase behavior. This is where you figure out if you're actually satisfied or if you're immediately drowning in a crushing wave of buyer's remorse. Now notice how marketers act almost like invisible guides through all of this.
They are leaving breadcrumbs for you at every single step of that journey to guide your choices. During need recognition, they trigger you with a cleverly timed ad. In the information search phase, they've got slick SEO-optimized websites, so they pop up first. For evaluation, they'll offer side-by-side comparisons or highlight glowing reviews. When you're finally at the purchase decision, boom, they hit you with a limited-time discount or a seamless one-click checkout. And they even try to secure that post-purchase satisfaction with stellar customer service and rock-solid warranties.
Okay, now we're going to dive a bit deeper into the psychological web with a much more comprehensive framework. This is the Howard Sheath model.
So, unlike the basic stimulus model we just looked at, John Howard and Jagdish Sheth focused heavily on the complex mechanics of how our past experiences and learning actually process marketing information. We're moving way beyond a simple stimulus in, response out here. This model dives right into the messy, intricate web of perception, social influences, and cognitive biases that all fire off right before you pull out your wallet. It is a much, much more realistic look at the human brain.
They break the mind down into 4 major components. You start with inputs, which provide the raw information. But the real magic, that happens in the perceptual and learning variables. In plain English, this is where your brain filters marketing data through your own unique past experiences and biases. This is the true engine driving brand loyalty. Like if you've had a great experience with a brand before, your brain literally perceives their new ads more favorably. From there, it flows into decision-making and finally outputs. And crucially, in this model, outputs aren't just the purchase itself. They include long-term brand loyalty, shifting attitudes, and repeat buying habits. Depending on the risk involved and our familiarity with a product, the Howard Sheath model actually categorizes how much brain power we use into 3 distinct behaviors. Let's break them down.
This matrix is basically the ultimate decoder ring. Notice how buying that house from our earlier example falls perfectly under extensive problem solving. You probably have very little prior knowledge, the financial risk is massive, and the decision takes months. Right in the middle, we have limited problem solving for moderate risks. Think about buying a new laptop or maybe a winter coat. You just need a bit of comparison shopping. And finally, that water bottle, that is a low-risk, habitual, routinized response behavior. You barely search for information at all because your brand loyalty, or honestly just sheer habit, has entirely taken over the steering wheel. We've unlocked the black box and mapped the whole journey from stimulus to response. But there's one final, absolutely crucial piece of insight to consider about why companies study our brains this closely. You might be sitting there thinking, wow, all this intense analysis sounds kind of manipulative. And fair enough. But the insights derived from these models actually tell a different story. Ethical marketers study these frameworks not to maliciously control us, but to align their products, pricing, and experiences with what we genuinely value and need. By understanding our 5-stage process and how we solve problems, they can create products that actually solve real-world issues, rather than just yelling at us to buy things we have no use for. So the next time you tap your card for a simple bottle of water, or you start agonizing over a major purchase, I want to leave you with this. Are you truly making an independent choice, or are you just following a beautifully decoded, completely predictable behavioral pattern? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you view your next shopping trip through a whole new lens.